Hello and welcome back to Soul Blazer. This is Bio Enchanted, and today we'll be going to the beginning of the Mermaid Palace. First of all though, we have some other things we can do that I missed out on last time. So let's head back to the previous area and finish a couple of side quests that I didn't do. Well, a side quest, it's kind of a chain. First of all, this mole I missed over here. This is Monmo. We need to get her back to her underground lair. So let's get back to her little hole, shall we? This is a little bit finicky. I accidentally kind of go in a difficult to work out way, because the trick is you have to get them on the hole and then talk to them. But the problem is if you accidentally step on the hole yourself, you go into the hole and the mole just resets the position. Like here. Whoops. So let's try that again and not do that again, shall we? So let's do it correctly this time, shall we? The mole has a very basic path that she takes, so at least the path thing's fairly basic is what I meant there. You just need to work out how to coax her around certain corners. And it's kind of best to kind of like do this little janky kind of motion like that to get her onto the hole. So let's head in there and see what her present is. So, just like the dog, Monmo is dead. But now we have her ribbon. And what we'll do with this is we just need to speak to a different mole that knew her in life. Turbo, that was the dog tag. And this is the real prize we were coming for. The shield bracelet. So I mentioned that her dad missed it, so I figured I'd go back for it now. I just thought I'd check out how the medical herb, and I do. There's the first of the emblems we got from last time. It's got the Venus symbol on it. As I mentioned, each of them have 8 of the planetary symbols on them. The astrological symbols, rather. So let's head back and actually start doing Dungeon 3, shall we? Which, as you can see from the surroundings, is a lot more intricate than Dungeon 2 was. As you can see, there's not really much to this place right now. So first of all, we need to go to Southerta, rather. This is St. Elle's, the Mermaid Palace. There's not really much of it right now, so let's just go to Southerta via this new teleport that opened when we talked to that statue. And here we are. These guys are annoying, but they just kind of, they shoot at a diagonal, or like, not quite, they shoot in a very specific kind of way. So you just kind of have to get used to how they shoot. I haven't done that. I get clipped a lot by them. They're annoying. Now the enemies here aren't nearly as bad as the ones in Area 2, because while they have a lot of similar maneuvers, like these guys are very similar to the plants from the previous level, they don't have invincibility frames, and their motion is generally a lot slower. So generally they're just much easier to deal with and less frustrating in general. These monkeys, or gorillas rather, are fairly basic, but of course annoyingly I can't hit that fish, that's really irritating me. But let's move on to these guys, shall we? We've got the shield bracelet equipped, otherwise we'll be losing a lot more health against them. What I quite like as well is you can actually get the fish stuck on the land. That's really cute. It's a good little visual thing. Quite like that. Yeah, this is just a much better spell than the fireball was. Like, I mean, look at that. That's amazing. Literal, like, 4 birds, 1 stone situation if you get them in the right positions. If you get lucky, basically. I mean, it's very rarely going to hit 4 things at once, but it's nice when it lines up like that. This, I actually had trouble, like, finding my way into this area when I first played the game. So these mermaids that show up here, I sure there was little blue flames, and I thought it was just this weird thing, like, I thought it was part of the game's, like, tone that you're just like, oh, at this point we just can't save them. But I just didn't find the path to that central area. I just didn't know there was a way to get there. And these birds are kind of annoying. They summon tornadoes and move in a very basic kind of diagonal pattern. They're easy enough to kill. They're just kind of annoying. I quite like the island aesthetic though. It's much nicer than the swamp was. It's just generally more interesting to look at as well. And the dungeon in general is more interesting than the second level's dungeon because there's just more to it. It's not just this for like a billion years. Because the 3 shrines are different enough, but even then they were fairly similar in structure. And I'm leaving that there for now. Because that's the thing we don't want to waste right now. We'll pick that up when we actually need it. And yep, that's kind of a bit of a trick, that is. A naughty little thing. Yeah, I'm mostly focusing on building gems in this kind of these areas, because these enemies are fairly basic enough to deal with without using magic. So we're just going to gather as many gems as we can, so we can have a good kind of so we can have a good amount spare. Now we're no longer caught in the pins of attack, we can just take care of these guys at our leisure. But if you don't have like a character release that has like a section of land associated with them, and the other characters that join them on that land will just be like little blue flames, like little anime ghosts. So if you see those little flames, it means you probably missed something. Because it only ever comes up if there's something you were able to find but haven't yet. I think there might be one exception to that, but for the most part it tends to be about like that. Yeah, I've nearly done with Southerta. I quite like the little like obelisk over there. It doesn't really do anything, but it's to add a bit more visual variety. These guys are just annoying me, so there we go. And yeah, here is actually when I start using the actual like the drawing magic orbs too. Now that I know that's the thing you can do. I just mistimed it there, I think. If I'd done it earlier, I would have been able to get all of the bigger orbs as well, but got a few extras, that's not too bad. Notice how barren it becomes when you press that one. It's a very stark kind of change. These little guys are kind of, under the rocks are a little bit annoying. They remind me a lot of the characters from the enemies from some of the Game Boy Zelda games. Because they can move fairly erratically and be kind of annoying to hit, but a lot of the time you can get them stuck in things, and that's quite nice. Or you can kind of preempt them a little bit. Quite like in this area that we just kind of make it more and more barren as well. It's like we're destroying this area to build the Mermaid Palace. Because generally kind of how a lot of this game kind of feels is like you're breaking down the walls of the dungeons so that you can, and the features of the dungeons, so that you can add more features and walls to the village areas, as you can see here. I believe we found a bubble armor. We just need to get it. But yeah, we're pretty much almost done with Southerta here. We only have one more monster left to get, but we can't get it right now. That fish was annoying me, I just wanted to take care of him. But yeah, there's one enemy here that enemy spawner here that we can't do anything with right now. There, we can't get there. Yeah. You realize I forgot to pick up that chest, because that chest is actually kind of important right now to avoid me having to go back to previous towns again and again, because of course that chest is a medical herb, so let's go grab that, shall we? And kind of forget the lay of the land on the way to doing so, but it gets me a few extra gems, and that's not too bad. It's always nice to have extra gems. Because this particular spell we have is just, like, awesome. It's the best spell. I mean, we'll get another spell later in this dungeon. Not in this video, probably in like one of the later ones, but it's just not a very good spell. You'll see it when we see it. A lot of the spells in this game are like, they're designed for certain situations, but they don't really work very well in those situations in my experience. Like, have trouble making them work a lot of the time. So I kind of stick to this one. But again, we'll see those when we get to them. So now, let's see what we've unlocked by releasing all of those people. We'll go there later, that's kind of the last one we're going to. Yeah, the instructor is the one that's linked to the land, so if you get her first, they'll show up as normal mermaids. But if you haven't got the instructor, there'll be no land for them to go to, so there'll just be little blue flames. I do quite like the way this particular area, unlike the previous areas, it doesn't even exist until you start putting it back together again. While the previous areas were kind of a void, but they were still kind of there. It gives this area a very stark contrast to the other areas because of that. Because it feels more like you're creating something almost from scratch that wasn't there before entirely. In a way that the other previous areas didn't. Yeah, let's just go quick up this chest. It's a little bit not quite sequence breaking, but it's a thing that won't be coming very handy till later. The mermaid's tears. We won't know where we'll need those until a little bit later into the dungeon. Use our bubble armor. Let's equip that, shall we? These will make better use of the drawing ability. Like this. There we go. But of course here, they're just in a position where it's hard to do the drawing thing, probably so I'm moving them back up here again. So I can more easily get them. These urchins, of course, are the permanent enemies that you can't despawn. The ones that just keep showing up. They're fairly basic though, and these guys are a little annoying, but they go down quick enough. You just need to be able to, like, hit them. They're potentially annoying, because they can often just be an unavoidable hit, but if you know what you're doing, like how to position, that kind of thing, you can take care of them without too much of a problem. It's just, like some of the enemies, they can be quite erratic, so sometimes they can just get behind you, instead of coming up in front of you like they should do. Or like it's not going to the side in some cases, and then plowing forward, so it can be a bit of a nightmare to deal with sometimes. But of course, here is actually a ladder that leads us, staircase, that leads us to that island again, to Southerta. So we can finally finish Southerta off now. So let's do that, shall we, so we don't have to come here again. It's a nice area, but I don't want to have to come back here again. seems important. Yeah, the 4 mermaid statues are our main progression indicators. They're our main blocks of this dungeon. Like, basically they're how I'm going to be subdividing this dungeon for the most part. Probably with a few exceptions, but for the most part, it'll be get a mermaid statue, talk to the mermaid statue, and then the video will, like, the next part of the dungeon will be the next video from there. That's the plan so far anyway. That, again, I may stray from it, do a little bit extra in some cases. But it all depends on how long the areas are, really, and how long they take to be doing them. I kind of like the underwater effect, though, with the little, like, the bubble around the thing. It's a really cute kind of non-technological way of doing a whole scuba suit idea. The fact that it's just a big bubble of air that surrounds you. Of course, these fishy tablets are the tablets that the mermaid statues will dispel. As you can see, we're kind of trapped here, so let's go back and finish this off, shall we? Talk to the mermaid statue we unlocked, and let her unbar the way. And they tell you where to go as well, I proceed right, that kind of thing in this case, along the seabed, so you know to go along the sand. And of course they show you which one to get rid of, which is very nice, so you kind of have very limited places you can really go, but that's how this area unlocks. Every one of those tablets that goes away gives you access to one of the areas you saw on the world map. But now, I'll see you next time. Bye.